You dated black guys.
Loved black guys, yeah. I did. But for me, dark meat on the side, white keeps me mean and lean. You know, that's why I married white, man. That's what I like.
Hold up.
Hey, everyone. Welcome back to Shkrets, where we peel back the curtains and shine a light on the messiest, juiciest celebrity sagas. Constructively, of course. Today, we're diving into the whirlwind relationship that was Jeannie Mai and Jeezy. A tale that started with fireworks, but ended with a whole lot of smoke. Like the title, Some Blackberries Give Bitter Juice suggests, what seems sweet on the surface can sometimes turn bitter. And we're about to explore how fetishization and rushing into things led to an ill-fated marriage and another broken home. So, let's set the scene. Jeannie Mai, the bubbly TV host from The Real, had just come out of a messy divorce from her first husband, Freddie Hartise. She was glowing, single, and ready to mingle. And then, as if scripted, Jeezy, who was trying to shake off his thug life image, walked onto her talk show set. Sparks flew, or at least that's how it seemed on camera. Jeannie was all smiles, giggling like a schoolgirl with a crush, while Jeezy played the smooth bad boy with a charming grin. Jeannie had always been outspoken about her preferences. Remember when she openly said she liked dark meat on the side?
You dated black guys.
Loved black guys, yeah. I did. But for me, dark meat on the side, white keeps me mean and lean. You know, that's why I married white, man. That's what I like.
Hold up. What do you mean, dark meat on the side?
Because she lightweight offensive.
I'm not. I'm saying, like, I really do think black men are attractive. I do. Like, that's my...
Well, what do you mean, dark meat on the side?
That means, honey. You know what that means.
Wait, what are you reading it as?
How did you say it?
I'm just saying, like, when I think about men, I like dark men. I do.
Right, you like your main man to be white and your side piece to be dark.
Well, when Jeezy came into her life, it seemed like her fantasy had come to life. She flaunted him like the hottest new accessory. And Jeezy? He didn't seem to mind, maybe because it was refreshing to be seen for something other than his past. They seemed happy enough, but the truth is, when a relationship is built on superficial traits, it's only a matter of time before it crumbles. It looked like fun, but was it love? As their relationship unfolded, it became clear they were both living for the limelight. There were whispers. Was this a genuine romance, or were they both playing a clever PR game? Jeezy, looking for a way to clean up his image, had found himself with daytime TV royalty. And Jeannie, fresh from her divorce, basked in the headlines that came with being linked to a high-profile rapper. Win-win, right? Well, not quite. Every time they stepped out together, it was a spectacle. Matching outfits, red carpets, Instagram perfect moments. They seemed more in love with the idea of being seen together than actually being together. The problem with living for the gram is that once the cameras stop flashing, you're left with reality. And in this case, the reality wasn't pretty. Were they really a team behind closed doors? Or was it all just an act for the audience? Their 2021 wedding made people reconsider. Maybe this was real love after all. But then, in September 2023, Jeezy filed for divorce and social media erupted. Turns out, the warning signs were accurate after all. Not long after, Jeannie accused Jeezy of domestic violence, claims he strongly denied, calling them malicious lies. But rumors swirled, stories of verbal abuse, physical altercations, and even an incident where Jeannie appeared with bruises on her arms, allegedly from a golf cart accident while Jeezy was intoxicated. She stayed, thinking he would change, but the signs were there from the start. But the cracks in their public image were only part of the problem. Behind closed doors, more serious issues were brewing, issues that money and fame couldn't fix. Jeezy, on the other hand, had his own complaints. He accused Jeannie of being volatile and resenting the fact that he didn't want more kids. Jeezy also reportedly struggled with Jeannie's mom and brother not respecting boundaries, constantly inserting themselves into their lives. It's one thing to have family involved, but when they're embedding themselves in your day-to-day life, it can become a whole other issue. Now, here we are, with Jeannie accusing Jeezy of failing to hold up his end of their divorce agreement. She claims he missed tuition payments for Monaco, didn't set up a $500K financial account for their daughter, and left her with unpaid rent and car titles. The financial battle is ugly, and Jeezy? He's gone radio silent, with his team allegedly ghosting her for months. The end of a marriage, a broken family, it's never something to celebrate. But let's be honest, the internet does get a sense of vindication that their suspicions were right. The red flags we all saw were too big to ignore.
The first red flag: how quickly everything moved. Jeannie had barely finalized her divorce from Freddie before diving headfirst into a relationship with Jeezy. Now, don't get me wrong, sometimes you want to jump back into the dating pool. But honey, you have to test the waters first. Jeannie went from one commitment straight into another high-profile romance, thinking it might be different this time. But without giving herself time to heal, she walked right into another set of problems. She had gone through a messy divorce with Freddie, partly because she didn't want kids. But after marrying Jeezy, she changed her mind and gave birth to their daughter, Monaco, in 2022. Funny how that happens, right? Meanwhile, Jeezy, with his own history of complicated relationships and unresolved issues, brought his share of drama into the mix. They rushed through prenup negotiations just days before the wedding, a move that would come back to haunt them later.
Now, let's talk about Jeezys Past. This man didn't just come with a few red flags, he came with a suitcase full. Multiple kids from different women, a string of legal troubles, and even some domestic issues that were far from secret. For example, in 2014, Jeezy was arrested on charges of battery, false imprisonment, and making threats against his teenage son. The details are chilling. An altercation that ended with Jeezy allegedly choking his son, throwing him into a glass shower door, and threatening to kill him. Yet somehow, Jeannie believed she could be the one to change him, that she would be treated differently from the women in his past. But here's the hard truth. When someone has a track record like that, you don't get to rewrite it. You're just the next chapter, and this chapter ended just as messily as the others. On Jeannie's side, people were questioning her motives too. Some accused her of trying to attach her failing wagon to a loaded cart. The reel was always swirling with rumors of cancellation, and Jeannie, despite her banging physique and charm, was scrambling. What would her next move be? Enter Jeezy, a high-profile, wealthy man. Why not upgrade the dark meat on the side to the main dish this time? Also, wasn't it suspicious that the loudest Asian woman on TV suddenly morphed into the symbol of, "I want to submit to my man"? That felt strategic to me, especially during that period when podcasts and red pill content were booming. Kevin Samuels, the now deceased controversial figure, even made a video saying that high-value men marry women like Jeannie Mai, not Lonnie Love, her co-host. Let's be real. Jeannie might have been thinking, I'm Asian, and now there's all this talk about Asian women being submissive. I've never been that a day in my life, but maybe I can try playing that role for now. After all, Freddie, her ex, was broke, and as the breadwinner, she could never really submit to him. But with Jeezy's status and money, she could definitely consider it. And why not have more kids to secure the bag? It's astonishing how quickly her stance on children changed, especially when her reason for divorcing her white preference husband was because he wanted kids. She was securing that child support. That was another narrative floating out there.
Now, am I saying all these rumors were true? Not necessarily, but there's merit in each. I do believe that their relationship was as much about business as it was about love, and honestly, I'm not mad at it. People marry for different reasons, and that's their business. But let's not be naive. Whatever their reasons were, the lesson here is simple. There's a saying, the blacker the berry, the sweeter the juice. Well, my dear, sometimes blackberries have bitter juice. If you're chasing a relationship based solely on looks or financial security, you might find that the juice ain't worth the squeeze. And speaking of bitter predictions, apparently, a fortune teller had already predicted the sour ending. After their divorce was announced, clips resurfaced of Jeannie visiting a fortune teller before Monaco's birth. She had asked if this was her final marriage, and the fortune teller had told her, "There's a second marriage, but you might have a third." Jeannie laughed it off at the time, but after Jeezy filed, people were quick to remind her of that moment, saying, "Girl, the stars were trying to tell you." So, what can we learn from all of this? The story of Jeannie Mai and Jeezy is a cautionary tale about how fetishization and ambition can blind you to red flags that should have been obvious from the start. Jeannie, caught up in her dark meat on the side fantasy, couldn't see the reality of who Jeezy really was. She was so swept up in fulfilling this fetishized image and enjoying the status and security Jeezy provided that she ignored his past, his baggage, and the clear warning signs. On the other side, Jeezy, eager to clean up his image and align himself with Jeannie's polished, high-profile life, may have walked into a
marriage that was doomed from the beginning. But let's not forget, the red flags were there. Red flags aren't decorations, they're warnings. If someone's past makes you pause, there's probably a good reason for it. And remember, you can't change someone just because you want to. People change when they choose to. Jumping from one relationship to the next without taking the time to heal is a recipe for disaster. And when a relationship is built on superficial traits, desires, or fantasies, you're setting yourself up for disaster. Jeannie and Jeezy were more in love with the idea of being together than the reality, and now they're left with a broken home, public accusations, and a child stuck in the middle of parents who can't seem to make peace.
The sad truth is that when you chase someone based on looks, status, or what they can provide you, financially or otherwise, you might find that the juice isn't worth the squeeze. Relationships aren't sprints, they're marathons. If you rush in, you'll end up out of breath, out of love, and out of luck. That's a wrap, folks. Thanks for watching my videos. I love making them, and it's even better when they're received with love. If you haven't yet, subscribe if you like my vibe. Until the next video, peace and love, y'all.